Alright, what is up, my friends? Welcome to my complete set review for All Will Be One. We've done all 5 colors so far. Now we're getting into the crazy stuff. The multicolored cards and the colorless cards are going to be next. Anything you missed on YouTube, go watch it. Go to the YouTube, check it out, like, comment, subscribe. Please support me as a content creator. Full-time content creator. So your simple click of the like button, which takes you half a second, is very beneficial to me. Free to do. Hit the like button. Appreciate it so much. So we're going over all the cards, constructed and limited. Every single card. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I want to remind you, of course, also about 10 new brews. It's going to be next Thursday. 10 new decks, a lot of fun. And, of course, we have our Pod Up brews, which is going to be on the 11th. Free to play with prizes for subscribers and YouTube members. Check it out. Pod Up brews in the Discord. Let's rock and roll. We're going right in here. We're almost complete. Atraxa Grand Unifier. That's a whammy. Black, blue, white, green, 3. 7 mana for a Phyrexian Angel. It's a 7/7. Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. That's a lot of freaking abilities, honestly. When it ETBs, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may put a card from that type among the revealed cards into your hand. Rescue on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this card is very, very similar to Niv Mizzet Reborn. It is a expensive, hard-to-cast card that draws you a bunch of cards. The difference being this card is 1 less color, obviously, and then costs 2 more mana total. But the body is much better. Flying, Vigilance, Lifelink is huge. Huge. So the question is, Niv Mizzet has seen a decent amount of play. Will this card see play as well? I think yes. I think this card is not like crazy or anything like that. But I think this card could definitely see play in like a mid-rangey kind of whatever deck. It is counterable, obviously, which kind of sucks, but it's also reanimatable too, which is kind of cool. It's some sort of like reanimator deck. Yes, what's a battle? I don't know. It's on there. I don't know what the hell that means. But yeah, it's definitely a very, very powerful card if you cast it and resolve it. Very, very powerful. There's no doubt about that at all. If you cast this card and then untap, you probably can't lose the game. Because you'll have drawn 5 cards and have an insanely good creature in play. But if they counter it or they kill it, or you just like you cast it and they kill it and just kill you, that's a problem too. So I think this card is definitely playable. I think the power level is definitely very, very high. You need to build around it. Probably need to be like a 4-color control deck with lots of control elements to be your finisher. I think a big question to answer is going to be, is this better as a reanimation target than a card to cast? Maybe, honestly. Against 7/7 lifelink flying is very, very good. So we'll see. But this card will see some play in competitive play for sure, whether it's being cast or reanimated in standard, maybe in historic, or maybe in other formats as well. But card's good. In limited, you cast this card, you win the game. That's it. Not easy to do, obviously. There's not much fixing in this set, actually. But pretty cool. And hopefully we'll cast this card on Bronze Mythic at some point. But yeah, cool card, big card. No questions there. Up next is Blade Hold War Whip. Whoosh. 3 mana for an equipment for Mirrodin. So, of course, the 4 Mirrodin mechanic means that it comes into play with a 2/2 attached to it already. Equip abilities to activate of other equipment cost 1 less to activate. Equip creature has double strike, equipped for 5 mana. So, effectively, this is a 2/2 double strike for 3, which is fine. That's a pretty fine stat line for limited. And then equips for 5, which is a lot. Definitely a solid limited card, because again, like, this is the kind of thing where you play it, it trades up probably, and then at some point later in the game when you're flooded, you just pop this on a creature for double strike, which is very powerful. It's a little clunky, honestly. It's a little clunky. It's not like the most exciting card of all time, but it's pretty good. There's a common that reduces cost, obviously, which is kind of cool too. So yeah, I mean, cool card, fine limited card. Constructed, probably not, but Pod Sentry. 4 mana for a star 5 flying creature. Power equal to the number of artifacts you control. So this is your Signpost uncommon, right? Where this is a very common thing in limited these days, where almost every set has 1 gold card that's an uncommon of each color pair that allows you it tells you what the color pair is about, right? So red white's all about 4 Mirrodin equipment and so on and so forth. Blue white's all about artifacts. We saw this in the white section. We saw this in the blue section. Go watch us on YouTube, missed them. And this card's real good, honestly. 5 of this is an insane amount of toughness here. And it obviously counts itself, so it's a 1/5 flyer. You throw in like 1 or 2 artifacts here, have a 3/5 flyer, that's great. And this thing only gets better as you go on. Counts mites, counts random artifacts. Card's excellent. Definitely a first pickable card if you're in these colors, obviously, or want to be in these colors. And card's great. Great draft card. Constructed? No, but good card. Charforger. Dimir for a 2/3. When ETBs make a goblin token, we love goblins here. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put to a graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on Charforger. Okay. Remove 3 oil counters from Charforger, exile top card of your library, and then play the card this turn. So, pretty good card. Obviously, we see the theme here in Rakdos being artifacts and creatures dying. The goblin can die. Definitely, sizing-wise, I mean, a 2/3 and a 1/1 for 3 is certainly reasonable. And then it accumulates oil counters kind of slowly, honestly. 3 is a lot, but it does draw cards too. So, a pretty solid card overall. Not like slam dunky. If you draw a card off this, maybe 2 cards, I think you're pretty damn happy, honestly. And otherwise, just like a decent value card, but it's fine. Cinder/Ravager. Oh, really? Yeah, actually, really. This is a 6 mana 5/5 with Vigilance. When it ETBs, you Chain Whirler. Deal 1 damage to all their creatures. However, it has affinity for each permanent you control with an oil counter on it. And I think this card is awesome. As we've seen so far in red and green, there's a ton of good oil stuff. A ton. And if this card costs 4, I think it's very good. If it costs 3, it's extremely good. And at 2 mana, it's obviously insane. And even at 5 mana, like, it's not good, but like, it's not the literal end of the world. So, with all the good oil cards already in red and green, I think this card is constructed playable in an oil deck for sure. It might even be like, maybe it's a little more of a sideboard card. But don't forget, folks forget how good Goblin Chain Whirler was, all right? Goblin Chain Whirler defined a goddamn format, all right? Goblin Chain Whirler is unbelievably good. And the body here is just the right size. It's a 5/5, so it attacks through Shieldred. Doesn't die to 4 damage spells. And it has Vigilance against the Wandering Emperor. It's just got a lot of really good things that line up here that make this card excellent. So I think this card's really, really good. It does miss Planeswalkers. It does miss Face, which is like very minor, honestly. The upstairs is kind of whatever. Planeswalkers matters because like finishing off Planeswalker was pretty good. But I think this card's exceptionally good. In limited, it's bonkers. Just a bonkers limited card. But I think this card in Constructed definitely has a solid chance. Doesn't Shieldred have Death Touch? Yeah, trading Shieldred is pretty good. Like, if you trade your 3 or 4 drop with Shieldred, you're happy about it. So, and again, Vigilance is very important against the Wandering Emperor, too. And then, Wedding Announcement, random shitter tokens, etc., etc. Card's great. Card's great. I'm excited for this card a lot. I think people are going to completely gloss over this card and not even think about it, and then it's going to bite them in the ass. It's going to be great. So, and again, bonkers limited card. That's sleeper card. Cinder/Ravager. Up next is Azuri, Stalker of Spheres, which is a 4 mana Simic 3/3. When it ETBs, you may pay 3.
Can I kick it?
If you do, proliferate twice. When you proliferate, draw a card. This card is interesting because the kicker part is really good. Obviously you ETB, draw 2, and proliferate twice. But 7 mana is a ton. 7 mana is like an insane amount of mana. And then playing it for face value, it's a Hill Giant. That doesn't actually do anything with other cards. So for Constructed, this card's not really doing it. Maybe for Commander or whatever would be kind of cool, but for Constructed, not really a thing. However, in Limited, this card's freaking phenomenal. You get to play this thing, proliferate, draw cards. Proliferating in blue and green seems very, very easy. So yeah, I think in Limited, this card's phenomenal. It's a very, very good card. Constructed, not really. Glissa Sunslayer. Old Glissa. Oh, wow. Old Glissa. Glissa's looking pretty good, I'm not going to lie. 3 mana for a 3/3 first strike, Death Touch. So obviously those are 2 very, very good abilities together. First strike and Death Touch, you're dead. Can't even do anything. You're dead. And of course, there's more to it than that as well. Whenever it does combat damage to a player, you have to draw a card and lose a life, kill an enchantment, or remove counters from a permanent. All those are very good, honestly. The drawing cards is great. A lot of enchantments around here also. And I think this card, I like this card, don't get me wrong. People are going to overvalue it a little bit because they're going to underestimate they're going to overestimate how often it actually hits your opponent because your opponent's going to have removal spells and yada, yada, yada. But it's pretty good, honestly. It does hit pretty well. So I think this card's quite good. Very, very solid card. Good mid-rangey card for sure. Aggro maybe. It's zombie and an elf, which might matter. It beats a lot of stuff in combat, which actually it has to be sure. Nice set review, Jim. The First Strike Death Toucher beats a lot of creatures in combat. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? But yeah, it beats things in combat, obviously. Does not get hit by cut down. And this card is very, very solid. Super good card. Very, very good. It's not best in show. I actually forget what best in show is. Best in show is pretty good too. It could easily be best in show, honestly. Super solid card. But yeah, this card's great. And limited, I mean, good luck beating this card if you can't kill it. You know, Jorah First Gold Warden, Boros 2-drop, trample on a 2/2. Sure. Whenever attacks, it gets +X on a turn where X is the number of equipped creatures you control. Then, if its power is 4 or greater, draw a card. This card's pretty good, honestly. You know, there's a lot of equipment stuff in this set. You know, with the 4 Merida mechanic for sure. And then if this thing ever draws a card, you're feeling great. It's a 4/4 trample that draws a card. That's awesome. The problem is that these sort of Boros equipment payoff creatures typically don't work out very well. But there's some rate here for sure. It might not be good enough. You know, we'll try it for sure. I definitely think that we'll be building an equipment deck in standard and trying it out. It probably won't work. We'll try it. But the rate's pretty good, all in all. So we'll see. Maybe just a commander card. Obviously, an insanely good card in limited. It's important to note that a lot of what make the equipment matter cards in this set good is their synergy with the Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty reconfigure creatures, which are creatures and equipment. But this does not work with those. It only pumps for equipped creatures, not the equipment. So if it worked there, I think we'd be in great shape. But I think all in all, it might not work. Might not work. Kaido, Dancing Shadow. Again, we have 10 Planeswalkers in the set. 5 completed and 5 are not, and Kaido managed to be a ninja and sneak out and not get completed. And Kaido is a little more chunky here though. At 4 mana, static ability. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may return one of them to its owner's hand. If you do, you may activate loyalty abilities on Kaido twice rather than once. Okay. +1, creature can't attack or block until end of next turn. And then 0, draw a card. -2, make a 2/2 colorless drone. With Death Touch, whenever this creature leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 2 and you gain 2. Kind of a weird card, honestly. So, like, it's like original Kaido. This is a Planeswalker you have to play with creatures. Otherwise, it's just not good. So you can make a... I mean, you can obviously play this and make a drone immediately, but if you bounce a drone, then you can't make a drone again. If you have to attack with this thing, you could, like, play this thing, make creature unblockable. I'm sorry, I misread the card, my bad. Up to one target creature can't attack or block until your next turn. I'm sorry. My brain read the first ability as our creature's unblockable for some reason. There's a lot of words on this card, all right? Go easy on me. That's a lot worse. I thought you could make creature unblockable, get the damage in, and then draw a card with the second one. But yeah, I think this card's kind of honestly. There's just a lot of words here, but it requires a lot of things to go. You have to have a creature, successfully hit your opponent with it, bounce your own creature. There's a lot of stuff. So if it finds the right home, the next card's fine, but I think it's somewhat unexciting. And limited is great. Just draw a card, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It does protect itself and draw, I suppose, where you just play it, plus it on a creature, untap, start drawing cards. But I don't know if 0 mana draw card on a 4 mana walker is even that good, honestly. So I don't know. It's all right. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong maybe I'm zeroing in on the static text too much, but doesn't seem great to me. Kaya, Intangible Slayer.
Good lord. Gigantism.
Damn. 7 mana Planeswalker. That's a lot. However, it's got hexproof on a Planeswalker. First time. I haven't seen that before. So can't target this Planeswalker, which kind of matters and kind of doesn't, honestly. The most common way to kill a Planeswalker is just to attack it. So it's safe against Hero's Downfall effects. But the other huge problem, of course, here is that the best card in the set probably is Shoulder's Edict, and that makes this card look like a joke. So I feel like the text of this card doesn't even matter at this point, honestly, because of that. But we'll see. 7 mana Planeswalker. +2. Each opponent loses 3 and you gain 3, so not great. 6 starting loyalty. 0 mana, draw 2, which is good, obviously. Opponent may scry 2. And then -3, exile a creature or enchantment. If it wasn't an aura, make a token, a copy of it. So it can kill things and make you steal their things. You can like kill their Shieldred and get a 1/1 Shieldred of their own. That's kind of cool too, but like, I mean, it's just 7 mana for a Planeswalker, you know? Like, 7 mana is a lot. If I tap 7 mana, I want a freaking Karn or I want an Ugin, you know? And this card's not Karn or Ugin. So yeah, we can move on here. And limited, obviously it's busted if you can cast it, but Kenneth, Crucible, or Kenthic. Kethnic?
You're saying it wrong.
You look terrible.
4 mana for a 4/4. Pretty good. Beginning for end step. You may sacrifice another creature. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal a non-legendary creature card with mana value less than or equal to, or I'm sorry, with lesser mana value, put it in the battlefield, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, kind of a cool card. It's basically end step, sack creature, and you can just reveal and go find a smaller creature. So you're sacrificing anything for value. It's kind of cool. The problem is a lot of the creatures you sacrifice for value often cost 1, which do not work here. Ornithopter aside, you know, Hunted Witness or Shambling Ghast or like whatever. So if you're sacrificing or you're sacrificing a token, same idea. So now you got to sacrifice 2 drops to get a 1 drop or a 3 drop to get a 2 drop. Doesn't seem great. Honestly, the body's fine. Good draft card for sure. But you also aren't tutoring. You're just revealing. So not much control over what you're getting either. So all in all, the ability doesn't seem great. Just kind of whatever. Luca, Bound to Ruin.
It's a trap.
This card is not Garruk Wildspeaker. I knew Garruk Wildspeaker. This card's not Garruk Wildspeaker. 5 mana or 4 mana with Phyrexian for a 5 loyalty or 3 loyalty Planeswalker. +1, add a red and green. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of creatures. Okay. -1, make a 3/3 beast with Toxic. -4, deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures or Planeswalkers, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control when you activate this ability. So, can't be blown out, but still, you know, it's fine. But that only works immediately if you are playing it for 5, and a 5 mana walker should be really, really good. The cards, the abilities here just aren't very good. So, again, it looks like Garruk, right? It's +2, make 2 mana, -1, make a 3/3 for 4 mana. But the mana you're getting, think about all the times you have Burning Emissary, and you just, like, can't cast a card off of it. And you're just like, all right, I guess go. You know? Being limited to only red or green, and then being limited to only casting creatures, and being limited to only doing it on your turn is a lot of limitations. So you need to be able to have a 2-drop ready to go, not, you know, a Doomblade or a Counterspell or a 1-drop or whatever it is, you know? So the mana ability is just not particularly great. And then the minus ability to make a token is pretty good, honestly, but not amazing. It's just fine. You know, nothing really particularly crazy about that. And the damage ability is also just kind of like fine. And then it just isn't that exciting, honestly. I don't know. At 5 loyalty, at 5 mana, it's just too much mana. And then at 4 loyalty, I mean, at 3 loyalty for 4 mana, and the mediocre ability is just not a very good card, honestly. I think it just looks a lot better than it is. It's just not very exciting. So yeah. Limited, great. Obviously, all Planeswalkers get limited for the most part. But that's our trap card for Multicolored. Moving on to Malcator, Purity Overseer. White-blue 1 for a 1/1. ETB make a 3/3. So kind of like a Blade Splicer with no first strike. But if your end step, if 3 or more artifacts ETB'd under your control this turn, make a 3/3. So kind of a cool upgrade to Blade Splicer in some ways, where if you ever get that second token, you're way ahead. Way ahead. Also plays very well with Elestorm, which is kind of cool too. And honestly, a 3/3 and a 1/1 for 3 is like honestly just fine. You know, so pretty hard to trigger the second ability there, unless you're making multiple tokens or whatever and stuff like that. But pretty cool card, honestly. You know, it's super solid. It does trigger. It can trigger itself partly. So, for example, if you were to play this and then play 2 Mem Knights, you would get a second 3/3 because it counts the token as one also. But how reliable is that? Not very reliable. You know, it's cool in Cube though. You can Karakas this thing over and over again. It's kind of fun. But yeah, losing on a first strike is a big deal. The first strike on Blade Splicer is very, very good. So you know, it's not a bad card though. Honestly, card's kind of cool. You know, like Blade Splicer, you can like, you know, pod or sacrifice away the creature itself and keep it 3/3, which is kind of cool. So it's cool. Card's fine. Solid card. Could see play for sure. Great limited card just on rate. You know, it's cool. Honestly, a card you might see in older formats more likely. Malaria, the Living Cure. Malaria's back. It's mana for a 3/3. Watchwolf, eat your heart out. Poor Watchwolf, right? Huh?
Look how they mess with my boy.
Power crept into oblivion. Whenever you would get one or more poison counters, instead you get one poison counter, and you can't get additional poison counters. Kind of weird. It does not just stop you from getting poison counters. You still get one, and there are a lot of cards that just have Toxic 1. You know? So, like, it doesn't really necessarily even do a lot against poison stuff, but has second ability here of exile it to choose a creature or artifact. When that's put into a graveyard, bring it back this turn. So it can kind of protect your other stuff as well, which is kind of cool, honestly. Very similar to Safi Eriksdotter or Eric's whatever in old set, but you can't combo with it because it exiles, because that was a combo card back in the day. But again, like a 3/3 for 2 is like pretty reasonable. The ability is pretty reasonable also. Just save your stuff. But yeah, it's fine. In limited, it's great. Obviously, it's well sized, but it's a legend. It's a legend for Jodo, which is kind of cool. It's a human, which is kind of cool. Just a fine card. Nothing too crazy, just reasonable. Being able to protect Jodo is pretty important. Honestly, with this card and the Gruul 2-drop that also protects Jodo, the Jodo deck actually is pretty good. You know, so with that and this and Jodo to protect it, it's kind of cool. Because the Jodo deck is like, if they kill Jodo, you can't win, but if it lives, you usually win. So up next is Miglaz Maze Crusher. Best in show. If you can't tell, I'm pretty high on these red-green oil things. 3 mana for a 4/4. No downsides, just all upside. 5 oil counters. Count them. 5th. Pay 1, remove an oil counter. Vigilance and Menace on a turn. Pay 2, remove 2 oil counters. +2/+2 on a turn. Pay 3, remove 3 oil counters. Disenchant. That's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. It is legendary, so there's obviously some concern there as far as playing multiple copies. But this card's real good. Just on rate alone, I mean, it's just well sized. It can disenchant stuff. It can beat combat. It can get vigilance. It can get menace. Just super solid card. And again, I think that the part of this is also that there's just like really good cards in red green also. Card's great. I'll tell you, limited, slam and limited. It's not like a bomb and limited like Baneslayer into it is something like that, where it's like, you know, this is like unbeatable rare because like it's just like a 4/4 when it comes down to it. But very good card, very good card. Like it a lot. Moving on to Nahiri, the Unforgiving.
We are the Lord. You will be assimilated.
4 mana or 3 mana for a 5 loyalty or 3 loyalty Planeswalker, and it's completed. +1. One creature can attack. I'm sorry, one creature has to attack. +1, discard card, draw card. 0 mana. Exile target creature or equipment card with mana value less than Nahiri's loyalty from your graveyard. Mega tokens a copy of it. It gains haste, and then it gets exiled. Very weird Planeswalker, because what we see here has to attack a player. I'm sorry, my bad. So it has to attack a player, which is important because it obviously defends Nahiri. Very weird card, because it's a Planeswalker. I don't know if you've ever had a Planeswalker before that's +1/+1 0. So it doesn't naturally go down unless it's being attacked, which is kind of cool. And then if you are exiling creatures from the graveyard and kind of sneak attacking them, it's kind of cool. You can loot things away, which is kind of cool. I mean, like, the problem is, like, this card does cool stuff, and then it also has the ability to cost 3, which is kind of cool as well. I think this card might be, like, sneakily kind of good, actually. I don't know what it's going to do, or I don't know what deck wants it, or whatever. I just have, like, the tingly feeling that this card is, like, actually pretty good. But I don't know what you want to do with it. So that's all I'm going to say, honestly. In limited, it's good, I guess. You got to play with this card. This is the kind of card where you look at it, you're like, until I have this card on the battlefield, I don't know how good it is at all. So we'll see. Cool card, though. Good with ETB effects. Yeah, moving on. Necrogen Rot Priest. 4 mana for a 1/5 Toxic 2. Whenever creature you control a Toxic deals combat damage to a player, that player gets an extra poison counter. 3 mana to give a creature you control a Toxic death touch on a turn. So you can see here, this is the black-green Signpost uncommon. Toxic being the black-green mechanic, which is pretty important. Card's good, obviously. 1/5. It makes things hard to block. Good by itself. Extra counters. Just good Signpost uncommon for Golgari in draft. Ovika Enigma Goliath. Very, very creepy. Very, very creepy. 7 mana for a 6/6 flying. This is like an old school rare. I feel like you never see 7 mana rares anymore. 7 mana for a 6/6 flyer. Ward 3 and then pay 3 life. So a little bit of defense here, but realistically for a 7 mana card, like they can usually afford to pay the ward also. If you cast a non-creature spell, make that many goblins. When X is the mana cost, they gain haste. That's really good. Holy shit. They don't go away. This is the kind of card where you untap with it, you probably win, but like, what deck can untap with it? So you just like play this card, untap, and then every spell you cast is that many goblins. So for a limited, absolute slam dunk card. I mean, we're talking untap, play a 5 mana spell, get 5 goblins, never lose the game. Constructed, I mean, like, are you gonna reanimate this? Like, what are you gonna do with this card? I don't really know, honestly. You know, but yeah, card's busted. Great limited bomb. It's pricey, but it's worth what you get for it for sure. Rhea Evor, Bane of Bladehold. 4 mana for a 3/4 with Battle Cry. Okay, this is similar to a Hero of Bladehold. Oh my god, so many words. Beginning of combat on your turn. The next time target creature would deal combat damage to 1 or more players this combat, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, create that many might tokens. Hold on. Let's try it again. Reset. Let's reset. Everyone take a breath. All right, let's try it again. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, the next time target creature would deal combat damage to 1 or more players this combat, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, create that many 1/1 Phyrexia might tokens. Okay, so basically you just like target one of your own creatures to fog it, and then get mites for that instead. So like, if you have some 3/3s in play, you get 3 mites that have 3 damage. Obviously, Battle Cry is kind of cool. Yeah, not exact. And that's also has to hit a player, and you also target before they block, so like they know what to block. No shot in constructed. I don't think. In limited, sure, it's a great card. Limited because it's just like pretty well costed in limited. But in constructed, I mean like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna move on here. Serum Core Chimera. Your Signpost Izzet uncommon. 4 mana for a 2/4 flyer, pretty good. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. Remove 3 oil counters on this. Draw a card. Then you may discard a non-land card. When you do, you bolt something. Only as a sorcery. So basically, it just like move 3 oil, draw a card, and then if you want to, you can discard a spell to bolt something, which is like pretty good, honestly. So card's pretty good. 2/4 flyer for 4 is fine, and then your blue-red deck is probably playing a lot of non-creature spells anyway, so pretty good limited card. Solid. Slaughter Singer, green-white 2/2, toxic 2. It's good stats. Whenever the creature you control with toxic attacks, it's +1/+1 on a turn. Green-white toxic, there you go. Honestly, I mean, good toxic lord. Good 2/2 with toxic 2 is fine by itself, I think. And then obviously pumping yourself is great. Just good limited card. Constructed, I mean, probably not, but limited for sure. Good Signpost. Tainted Observer. 3 mana for a 2/3 flying toxic 1. Pretty good stats. Another creature you control enters the battlefield under your control. You may pay 2 if you do proliferate. So that's the problem. For constructed, you can't pay 2 mana on top of your spells to make them good. So that almost immediately like invalidates this card from constructed because a 2/3 flyer with toxic is not good enough. So great limited card. Great limited card because the rate is great anyway and you can proliferate nonstop. But yeah, I mean like having to pay mana, having to tax all of your creatures for 2 just to proliferate, it's kind of whatever. So yeah, not a constructed card, but good limited card. Tyvar, Jubilant Brawler. Who? They announced the 10 Planeswalkers in the set, and they're like Jace, Nahiri, Nissa, Tyvar. What? Pretty good card though, honestly. Tyvar, Jubilant Brawler. Not good. It's narrow but effective. He is pretty jubilant. 3 mana for a Planeswalker, 3 loyalty. Okay. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. Pay 1 +1 loyalty to untap a creature, -2 loyalty to mill 3 cards, and then return a creature card mana value 2 or less from your river to the battlefield. So basically, what this card is good for is creature combo decks in older formats. So for Devoted Druid in Modern, you either return the Devoted Druid and has haste immediately so you can win the game. Because the problem with Devoted Druid, of course, is that like you can never go off instant speed. That's kind of cool. It'd be an Elf deck, and giving your Elvish mana Archdruid haste is kind of cool. Untap things as well, which is kind of cool. So this is the kind of card. It's like I feel like mostly just going to be a combo-y card in older formats. Being able to return stuff is pretty cool. Also, Priest of Forgotten gods is pretty cool as well. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, more of like a combo-y card than anything else. Probably more for older formats where creature combo exists. I think for the most part, honestly, where this card's at. And it's funny. This is the rare Planeswalker that's actually pretty bad and limited. It's honestly not even that bad because you can like recur a creature or two, but still pretty bad. So yeah, Yagmoth maybe, sure, that's fair. Just like creature combo in general is probably interested in this card. Venser, oh my god, Venser.
Look how they mess with my boy.
Venser, Corpse Puppet. How does everyone feel about watching all their favorite characters get mutilated in various ways? Favorite characters? I don't know, whatever. Do I care about Venser? I don't know if I care about Venser, actually. I haven't like processed if I care about Venser or not. But a blue-black for a 1/3 lifelink toxic 1. Pretty cool. Pretty good stats. Whenever you proliferate, choose 1. If you don't control a creature named the Hollow Sentinel, create the Hollow Sentinel, legendary 3/3 Phyrexia and Golem. Or you can choose to artifact creature you control and give it flying and lifelink interest. The problem is this card is a payoff for proliferate, but does not proliferate itself. So without proliferate cards, this card does almost nothing, which is kind of rough. So the card is actually pretty fine if you have ways to proliferate consistently, because making a 3/3 with this card is pretty awesome, and then lifelink and flying are great too. But I think this card is a little too iffy. You know, it really needs to be a proliferating for value, and then just kind of have this card also. So probably not really going to make it inconstructed. In limited, this card's great because every blue and black card proliferates naturally. So play this thing, make a token, you're off to the races. So great limited card. But constructed, yeah, probably not. Vivisection Evangelist. 5 mana for a 4/4 vigilance. If your opponent is corrupted, when you ETB, destroy a creature or planeswalker opponent controls. So freaking Chupacabra.
Get off my
Chupacabra, that one's dead. Boom, bang. Really good card, obviously, in limited. Obviously, you need to corrupt your opponent with this, but a 4/4 Vigilance Chupacabra for 5 is insane. So, top flight limited card. Splashable, I think, if you're playing poison stuff. Again, very creepy, but yeah, very, very good. Then you have Voidwing Hybrid, which is a blue-black flying toxic 1. If you proliferate, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. This card's gas. This card's awesome. 2/1 flyer with toxic for 2 is already great. Note that we talked about the 1/1 flyer with toxic 1. That's a common in black as a good card. This is a 2/1 for 2. Or 2/1, whatever. 2. And then it has the proliferate, come back to your hand ability, which is insanely good too. Card's really, really good. Busted limited card, honestly. This is like probably the best Signpost uncommon. Play this, block, proliferate, get it back. Play this, block, proliferate, get back. I'm surprised this card can block, honestly. And then later on, just kill them with it. So, real good card. And honestly, for constructed, definitely a playable card. I think this card could see play constructed. If there's like a graveyardy sort of something or other deck, maybe. But, just a good card. Proliferate will trigger no matter what. So if there are no counters in play, it still triggers. And then just doesn't do anything. But it still triggers to trigger your effects. So, card's insane. Yeah, it's just really, really good. I don't know what to tell you. So, to recap for Multicolor, our best in show is Miglaz, Maze Crusher, our sleeper card, Cinder Slash Ravager. No coincidence here, these are both red and green cards. Luca, Bound to Ruin. Sorry, Luca, not really in this Gruul party. That's our trap card, and then our Bombin Common. There are no commons in this section. There are no commons in Multicolored. So, What are you going to do, all right? That's it, folks. We got one section left, colorless and lands. There's always a bunch of great artifacts in Phyrexia stuff, so don't go nowhere. And anything you missed on YouTube, go check it out. Like, comment, subscribe, hit buttons, do things. Let's freaking go. Let's finish strong.